I read this gothic fantasy novel, so you don't have to, but should you? Let's find out. One character is slowly losing their mind, and I was like, oh, wow, okay. Talking very poetically, very cryptic. There's nothing I love more than characters slowly losing their minds because it grips you. That first page instantly just. For me, it's the magic that I'm just like so fascinated by. I'm excited to read this book. This is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. And I don't think I've actually ever heard anything about this book. I'm pretty sure it's new. And I'm excited. I think that the cover, wait, let me move my face. I think that the cover is absolutely gorgeous. I love that you don't see the main character, but you see just like this beautiful kind of mysterious, dark, moody setting. Such a vibe, such a vibe. I think it's very different than a lot of other covers that I've seen as well. And it is romantic-y, I'm pretty sure. So this is the issue though, when it comes to reading on the Kobo, that I don't really know what section this book is in. I just saw it and was like, oh, this looks cool. And then downloaded it. So I know it's fantasy, but I don't know if it's romantic-y, but I assume that it's romantic-y. So we are going to be finding out today. So from my understanding, this book follows along our main character, Elspeth, I think is how you say her name. And what I think is really cool is, like it says, maiden, monster, martyr. And it really reminded me of From Blood and Ash, where it talked about like a maiden and all that kind of stuff as like a tagline. But yeah, from my understanding that it follows Elspeth, and she is like, I don't know if it's like a metaphoric nightmare or it's like actually a nightmare, but she has like this thing called a nightmare that lives inside of her head, and I think it like dictates what she is going to be doing or what she has to do. And so I'm not sure if it's like a mental thing or if it's like something that she has that will kind of fuel her, kind of like in Naruto where he has the nine-tailed fox, where it is actually something that is in him that he can't control, and it will give him like powers and strength and stuff, and he has to learn how to like befriend it. Or if it's completely different and it's more like Phantasma, where the main character in that book lived with OCD, and you could see kind of how it like drove her to do certain decisions and impulses and all of that. So I'm excited to see. I think either route is exciting to me. And I think that it also follows that I'm pretty sure she was like sick as a kid. And I think it's like if people were sick as a kid, they were supposed to be killed by these guards or something. So I think that it's kind of something like that, where maybe people didn't know that she was sick, and if they find out, then she's going to be like killed or something. Maybe she's just trying to survive. I don't know, but that's pretty much all I understand from the book. I think there's also cards involved, so yeah, that's what I expect. I do have high expectations nonetheless, but yeah, I'm excited. So without further ado, let's read this book. So I'm a little bit more than 100 pages into One Dark Window, and here are my thoughts so far. This is such a good book. Oh my goodness, the writing of this book, the gloominess, the world building, the characters. I don't even know where it's going, but I like where it's going, if that makes sense. So we're introduced to our main character, Elspeth, something like that. They call her Bess sometimes. I truly do not know what her actual name is. I don't know. No one really says her name. But she had this infection when she was a kid. And basically what happens in this world is if you have this infection, what it does is it gives you magic. But that's not allowed in this world. The only magic you're allowed are these Providence cards, and only the royal people tend to have them. And they were created by the Shepherdkin, which the name of the series is the Shepherdkin, or like the Shepherdkin Chronicles or something along those lines. I'm bad at names. We know this. And so because she's infected, usually should be killed, but no, her family basically sends her away to her aunt, and she ends up surviving, and they think that she didn't get any magic, but it turns out she did. She ends up touching this Providence card that her uncle has of the nightmare, and when she touches it, the nightmare becomes an actual thing that lives inside of her that can give her like strength and power, and it's constantly yapping away at her. So this nightmare is actually a real being. So it's more on the Naruto end, like we were kind of unsure about earlier. But yeah, definitely more like the nine-tailed fox. And so it's really cool to be able to have this character who's constantly talking to her, talking very poetically, very cryptic. It's honestly a huge vibe. It's beautiful. And so she's been hiding this magic. Nobody knows that she has this nightmare because like no one's ever heard of that. She can also see all of the Providence cards, which is another kind of thing that people don't know. And the thing about this is that there was like this spirit, and what it did is it tricked this like shepherdkin guy, because like for every card that was created, there's like the reverse side of it where it's like something bad. So it's like with the nightmare card, sure, you can read people's minds and talk in their heads and stuff, but you also have to deal with your greatest fear. And you never know. The longer you hold on to a card, the more likely that you are going to receive the bad end of it, because all magic comes with a price. So there's also like this maiden card that you use it, makes you absolutely beautiful, but if you use it too much, you lose basically your heart, your soul, everything that makes you a person and your personality. You become this cold, unfeeling being. And so there's a lot of different cards. They said there was like over 60 something, but there's 12 important ones. And the card that's been missing is this Twin Adlers card. And once you complete the whole deck, you're able to push away this mist that has basically been causing this infection, and no one's been able to do it because the Twin Adlers card nobody can find. So our main character, through a series of events, ends up having to work alongside this captain guy named Raven. And he is looking for these Providence cards, and he finds out basically that she can see these cards. And so he's trying to be like, hey, like, you're gonna kind of work with me kind of thing. They're basically blackmailing each other because they both have dirt on each other. And so they're kind of working together. It's not like they really don't want to either. Like they're like, I mean, it's the way it goes. And so circumstances kind of called for that. And so that's where I'm at right now, where she's going to start working with this Raven guy, but she doesn't trust him, obviously. And so he's just called this meeting with like his secret council, because she's like, I don't know anything about you. I don't know about this council. Like, why am I risking my life when I don't know anything about you? Like, sure, you're going to blackmail me, but I can still blackmail you. So they're trying to earn the trust between each other. And I can see there being romance between these two. So romantic to see? Yes, please. So yeah, that's where we're at. I think that the world is absolutely phenomenal. I'm so obsessed with these Providence cards and the magic and the nightmare and stuff. So I'm really, really excited to see like where this book is going to go, because it grips you. That first page instantly just, I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed. I can't stop thinking about this book, and I'm just really having a good time. So I'm going to continue to read One Dark Window, which I still don't know why it's called that. So maybe I will know by the end of this book, but I will update you around the halfway point. So I will see you then. So I'm a little bit more than halfway through One Dark Window, and I finally know why it is called One Dark Window. I would say so far, I think that the vibes are so good and dark and gritty and kind of stuff going on. I don't think that the chemistry between Raven and Elspeth are really that good, in my opinion. But the stuff that makes up for it is definitely everything that is happening with the nightmare, the cards, and what the magic does. For me, it's the magic that I'm just like so fascinated by, because anytime you use the magic, it takes away something in return. And so it's different for every single character. One character, anytime they use their magic, they end up not being able to use certain cards ever again. And so there's like 12 cards. And so if you use too much of your magic or use it too often, you won't be able to use it at all. But then there's other characters who have a way worse kind of side effect. One character is slowly losing their mind anytime they use their magic. Anytime like a new kind of like season passes, it takes away and degrades them, and they become nothing but like a husk of who they were. And yeah, they just lose their mind. Another character is completely being replaced with like a monster. Like the monster is taking over who this character is, and maybe that character will just one day just poof, be gone, but that monster will like take over their body. There's other characters who are just increasing the chances of dying, so they use the card and they just like start bleeding everywhere. So it's the magic and the consequences of the magic, and they all know, like, you don't actually know at the beginning like when you start to get your magic, like you get the infection and then you have magic, you don't know what the cost is going to be until it's pretty much too late. And then it's like, you're already so in too deep and you're kind of dependent on this magic that you know that it's going to do whatever the side effects are, but you're still going to do it. And so I think that that's really cool. But yeah, like I mentioned, I don't think the romance is that strong, but they are still cute together. So there was this point where I was like, oh, don't kiss already, like way too early. But then I was like, you know what, whatever, I'm enjoying the story. I need to get over myself. Not everything's gonna be perfect. So yeah, it's fun, it's interesting. I like where it's going. I'm excited that there's another book that I'll be able to read because I am almost done this book and I'm like, oh, I don't want to finish it because I'm enjoying it. And yeah, it's just so good. I would say that don't really read it for the romance though. Read it for the plot, because it's the plot that I think is interesting, and they're all just trying to collect this deck and the stuff that they're learning and the importance of that one dark window. That's really cool. I really like that. And yeah, and then yeah, there's so many things, but I also don't want to spoil it for you, but there's stuff that I didn't expect and didn't predict, which I always really enjoy and appreciate in a story. So having a good time. A little bit nervous though, because there's like characters, like every single character, like they all have these side effects and stuff. So it's like, are one of my favorite characters gonna die? Probably. There's a reason why they make these characters so likable, because you know that they're gonna get killed off. And even if you know they're gonna get killed off, it still doesn't lessen the blow. But yeah, we will see where this book goes. There is another book. I think it's a duology. I don't know, but I'm a bit nervous because this is kind of one of those books that you know is going to end on some kind of cliffhanger. So yeah, wish me luck. I'm going to continue to read One Dark Window, and I will update you when I finish this book. So I will see you then with my final thoughts. I just finished One Dark Window, and that ending was so good. I knew I would like this book. This, like, you can tell by like the kind of, you can tell by like the gothic-y dark cover with the girl just sitting there, and it's like ominous, and it's like, you know, this is gonna be an Ileana book. The romance, in my opinion, was not that well developed though, but I really, really loved the magic system and the way that stuff was playing out and everything with the nightmare. The nightmare stole the entire book. There's nothing I love more than characters slowly losing their minds. Like, it makes me sound like such a horrible person. But like when it comes to books, the more the characters suffer, the more I like the books. And the ending of this book, I was like, oh my goodness, like, I didn't expect that, because it's like, you wouldn't expect that to happen. So it's like, I'm really curious about how they're going to do the second book. And I think I have some ideas, but I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. This is interesting. Like, I don't know where this is gonna go. And so I completely understand like why the romance was kind of like so focused on in this one, but I do wish it was more well developed, because I think it would hit so hard. And even though this book wasn't spicy, the poetic like prose that it had and some of the lines that Raven would say, like when he's like, can I kiss you? And she's like, you know, like it's you already did that. And he's like, that's not what I meant. He's like, he wants to kiss her, but not on her lips. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. This man, Raven is definitely a good book boyfriend. I think that we need a bit more personality on him though. Like, he is a bit too perfect in my opinion, but he's definitely like, he's a good one. He's a very nice man. But yeah, I do wish this book was spicier, because this isn't really like, I checked, you can find this in the adult section in bookstores, but you can also find it in the YA. So I feel like it's like an anomaly where you don't really know where to put this book. In my opinion, I would put it in YA fantasy, but like older YA fantasy, because some of the violence that happens in this book is pretty dark, but the spice is like really, really minimum. So I think that it is more YA, and there's nothing wrong with that. In my opinion, at least, YA is like, you can do whatever you want unless it's spice, and then it's classified as an adult. But yeah, that's just how I see it, at least. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where the rest of the series goes. I really like that we have all these different kind of like side characters, and I want to see them a little bit more as well. But as side characters, they're interesting. We have Jasper, who's like the only female kind of like soldier guard person, and I really like her. There was a scene of her where I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, like, and I realized like, you know, I do like her. I like her. She's interesting. I really love Elspeth's cousin, Ione. I really like her because it's like, you can see her trying to like push herself out of what is happening, and it's just gonna be good. When I talk about book 2, we can talk about spoilers for book 1. So yeah, I don't want to give you any spoilers in book 1, but there's a lot of really interesting characters, and I'm really happy that they didn't go for like the love triangle, at least not yet, because at first I was getting a bit of a suspicion that I was like, okay, is Elm also into Elspeth? But I don't think so. I thought so at the beginning, but I don't think so now. I think it's just Raven, just Elspeth. There's no love triangle, at least so far. Unless you count the nightmare, I guess. But like, he's not really like a love interest, but it is kind of weird though. Imagine like you're seeing somebody and you have like this monster that like lives in your head and can see everything you do, and it's like, haha, I can see you kiss people. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'd never be intimate if I had a monster in my head. But yeah, such a moody, cool, poetic story. I feel like some people maybe will rub you the wrong way because the writing is very, how do I put it? It's very colorful, I guess. It's more colorful. It kind of gives a little bit of like Shatter Me vibes, but less to that extent. But it is colorful, it's poetic. I really love how every single chapter kind of has this little piece from the Book of Adlers. That's really cool too, because you're getting like insights into the history of the world, so you're getting all this good world building. And I'm just a sucker for rhymes and ominous kind of vibes. So yeah, this was a very good ominous vibe. I had a really good time with this book. So today we are going to be awarding One Dark Window a total of 4.5 stars. What can I say? Really like this book. I loved the setting, the characters, all of this. The only reason I would not give it 5 stars is, well, one, the romance was not up to par. I wasn't squealing, I wasn't kicking my feet, I wasn't doing any of that, except for like that one scene where he's like talking about kissing her and stuff. But anyways, yeah. I don't think that it was as strong. And I think as well, it's harder for me to judge a book when I find it's also a little bit harder for me to really judge a book when it takes me a while to read it, if that makes sense, because I have been traveling. I'm finally home now though. You can see I have my usual background back. But when I'm traveling, I find it hard because I'm only reading like a couple of chapters a day, whereas when I'm home, I'm reading like 2 to 3 books a week. And so it's a lot harder for me because I'm like, wait, where was I in this book before? Like, what's going on? Like, I feel like it's just like stretching the timeline, if that makes sense. But I'm pretty positive that if I was not traveling, I would have devoured this book in like a day or 2. Like, it was really fun. So the next book that I'm going to be reading is the sequel, which is Two Twisted Crowns. Ominous cover. I'm excited. I think that this is a duology, but I have no idea. I kind of hope it is, because I don't want to have to wait for another book, you know? Like, I'm a patient person, but not when it comes to books. So yeah, I'm really excited. That's going to be the book that I'm going to be reading next, because of the cliffhanger that this ended off. I need to know how the story is going to progress, and I'm obsessed with everything about like the nightmare situation. Like, that is one of my favorite things. Like, yes, please. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the like button, and if you're looking forward to me reading the second book in the Shepherd Kitten series, definitely hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. As well, I am a YouTube partner, yay, which is really exciting, which means that you can become a member of my channel. All the information for this is in the description. There are a bunch of different tiers. You get a bunch of cool special member privileges, and all proceeds of being a member go towards me getting more books that we can talk about and review on this channel. So if that's interesting to you, definitely check it out. So with that, I wish you warm wishes and fish kisses. See you in the next video. Bye!